So good evening. I know it's been a roller coaster week for a lot of you guys. The NEET SS dates have been announced. Most of you have been considering whether to leave your jobs, join again. A lot of you are having doubts on how to go about your preparation with just about 100 days left. Some of you are having doubts whether the feeder subjects ENT, ortho, OBG to study or not to study. So there's a hell lot of a confusion right now, which you guys are facing. I know it's been quite a confusing week. You guys are at crossroads of your preparation, so it's very important. What I'm going to talk today is not going to be too much of subject. It's going to be strategies for preparation, how to go about, and how to get a good MCH rank this time and get into a seat of your choice. So I'm not an oncosurgeon myself. I have written the NEET so many times. I'm doing my pediatric surgery residency, but all this information is gathered from my experience of having interacted with a lot of your seniors, people who have cleared oncosurgery examinations, people who have used the Surgtest platform to get into oncosurgery, and also from my experience of having created the oncosurgery MCQ bank. Uh, so if you have any doubts, you can ask me, and if I'm unable to clear it, I'll get back to you really soon. So the fundamental core of your preparation is going to be general surgery. So basically, the trend for the last 2 or 3 years, the difference between GI and onco has been that GI surgery papers have been little more complex in 60 marks for GI paper. Onco surgery papers have been relatively easy. Many of the questions are solvable. It is not very difficult to get 50 marks out of 50 questions right out of 60 in your oncosurgery paper. So people who have been studying for 6 months are able to clear almost 55 to 58 questions. And people who have studied for just 1 or 2 months are able to get around 50 questions. So this has been the trend for the past few years. And I feel that your onco part of your paper is not going to be the deciding part. It's going to be general surgery. This year and the year before that, ranks were decided on general surgery. Last year, it was the feeder subjects. People who were concentrating on ENT or OBG were the people who were able to get the top ranks. So ranks are decided on general surgery and feeder subjects. Every single line of general Bailey and Lau 27th edition is gold. Especially if your paper is going to be only general surgery 40 marks, I don't think you need to look beyond Bailey and Lau 27th edition. Do I read Sabiston 21st edition? So that's a very interesting question. My personal opinion would be not to spend too much time reading Sabiston 21st edition. Most of the concepts in Sabiston 21st edition, which are essential from an MCQ point of view, have been updated on the Surgtest app. We also have introduced a filter where you can see just the Sabiston 21st edition questions. We've also there are some questions in which Sabiston 20th edition reference is given. That means that that particular concept is not available in Sabiston 21st edition. So look through the references very carefully while solving the questions. And it is very essential that for the next, at least for the next 60 to 70 days, you read general surgery for 1 hour every day. Sub Bailey and Love, every line can be asked. For people who have written the NEET for the past few years, you would have realized that there was a question from the gynecology part of Bailey and Love. There were images which you wouldn't even expect: Mongolian spot, strawberry hemangioma. So these are questions which usually you do not expect in a general surgery paper, especially in your surgical oncology examinations or GI surgery examinations. But these are questions which are appearing in your NEET, and Bailey and Love is your Bible. You should be reading it cover to cover. And a lot of people tend to read Bailey and Love, but then they still falter in MCQs. The reason is that they do not read it from an MCQ point of view. You might have understood the entire concept, but if you don't understand, if you don't remember certain specific facts, certain specific names, for example, if you're not thorough in the inflammatory cytokines pathway, you might have read everything, you might have understood everything, but if you don't remember what is the anti-inflammatory cytokines, then if that is going to be asked in the exam, then you're definitely going to lose that mark. And every single question makes a difference. So I personally feel that you should be reading general surgery for 1 hour every day and 100 questions on the Surgtest app daily. That should be a religious habit. So for people preparing for onco, I assume and I would hope that you are taking at least 20 days off close to the exam. But even if you don't find time to read core oncosurgery, you should be reading general surgery for 1 hour and solve at least 100 questions on your Surgtest app daily. That should be the thing you do before you sleep. And solving questions is very, very important. If you do not find time to read a particular subject, make sure that you solve the questions at least. Certain topics such as arterial diseases, venous diseases, plastic surgery, many of my students, including myself, I wrote NEET last year and I was able to get 38 out of 40 questions right. And trust me, I spent a lot of time solving MCQs and correcting MCQs because I was helping create them a question bank. And I found that that experience helped me perform better in my entrance examination. So definitely makes a whole lot of sense. And mm, most of the questions are cannot go beyond Bailey, and most of the questions are going to be on the Surgtest app because we have covered almost every paragraph, every nook and corner of the textbook. And repeats do come, so almost all the repeats are on the app. Or if you do have access to some PDFs which have repeats, definitely you should read them. You cannot lose out on Bailey. If a question from Bailey and Love comes, and if you miss that, let me tell you, getting a good, decent rank is going to be a challenge. So I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to re-emphasize and emphasize, like drill that fact into your minds that Daily and Love should be read in detail. So ENT, ortho, and OBG, big question. The latest NMC draft says that there are no feeder subjects, but we also have to assume that they have not clarified that there are no feeder subjects. They have just included MS General Surgery. There are a lot of ENT surgeons, orthopedicians, and OB-GYNs who are preparing for surgical oncology. And I know them personally, and they are very confident that surgical oncology is going to be there. And these people guys are preparing for general surgery. And last year also, they included the just a few months before the exam, they added ENT, ortho, window PG. And there was also initially a draft which said that only MS General Surgery was a feeder subject. We have created the ENT, ortho, OBG question banks on the app along with a partner. We created it in record time and we are very proud of the fact. But it's your call. You should be deciding whether you want to take the risk of not reading it now. My personal opinion, do not wait till they announce it with clarity. Because if they do announce it in September, you do not have time to read a new subject. And that is not the time you should be reading a new subject. But if you don't read ENT, ortho, and OBG, it is going to be very difficult to get a good rank. Last year, we had core OBG questions, core obstetric questions, fetal skull, diameters, questions which I personally thought we would have never wanted to study after your PG and PG entrance examinations, NEET PG or AIPG, whatever you wrote, and I definitely did not want to read them again. And I find that so many of you guys might have to end up reading that. So it's going to be quite a challenge for you guys. The first biggest challenge is going to be in overcoming your mental barrier. So I find a lot of oncosurgery residents, this happened last year, who simply refuse to read ENT ortho, which is everybody is no nobody's going to read it on. It doesn't matter. They just read general surgery and oncosurgery, and some of them managed to get a rank, but they could never become toppers. You have to understand that these entrance examinations is just a means to an end. And if there are certain barriers, you will have to cross them. So first, overcome that mental barrier that why should I read ENT, ortho, and OBG? You cursing NMC, NBE makes no sense because that's not going to help you achieve your purpose or get a good rank. And my personal opinion is that if you wish to read ENT, ortho, BG, if you wish to solve the MCQs, start doing it now and finish the subjects by August end maximum. After August end maximum, it's going to be very difficult for you to read ENT, ortho, and OBG. And if you start going into the depth of ENT, ortho, and OBG, your oncosurgery preparation and your general surgery preparation is going to get affected drastically. If they do include it, it will be the rank maker. One thing I can assure you is that at least 40 to 50 people who I expect to be toppers, I do interact with people who are preparing on a daily basis, and especially for oncosurgery. And these people are preparing hard. They are seeing the videos, lectures for ENT, ortho, OBG. They are asking me doubts. I have directed them to the faculty. So these people are preparing hard. And so there is no excuse for you not to prepare. So oncosurgery, Devita is supposed to be the Bible for your thing. I personally feel reading Devita is a huge challenge. It's going to be pretty impossible, especially if you're starting a preparation now. MD Anderson 6th edition is a very, very doable book. Toppers across batches have sworn by this book. We personally have bucket trends from other apps, other teaching platforms, and made sure that we concentrated a lot on MD Anderson because we find that questions are directly lifted from MD Anderson. And that's our personal opinion. For radiotherapy and chemotherapy, I would advise you to go through the and also the basic of oncology. I would advise you not to spend too much time reading Devita radiotherapy or Devita chemotherapy. I would advise you to go see the lectures on the Surgtest app. Dr. Vineet and Dr. Asif have covered it reasonably well. And that is more than what you need. And if you do have access to your PG preparation books, make sure you read what is that, Sparsh Gupta or whatever pharmacology book you read. You can spend time reading chemotherapy classification, and that's all you need. So for Devita, we have included a lot of questions from Devita on our question bank. So these are specifically topics which we feel are important from Devita, which we feel should be included, which we feel are possible questions. So these are the stuff we are including from Devita. And regarding NCCN guidelines, NCCN guidelines is a huge challenge. If you want to top, you have to spend time reading the NCCN guidelines. If you're aiming at a top 39, 30 or 40. What I have done to simplify things for you is try to include most of the guidelines in the form of questions in the question. Personally, I think that is more than enough. But NCCN guidelines is an ocean. And if you start going into the depth of it, there's no end to it. You can go through the NCCN guidelines if you have doubts in questions when you're solving questions. But on a personal basis, if you spend too much time going, if you've already not started doing it, then I don't think you should be wasting too much time going into NCCN guidelines in detail. But if you've already done it, well and good. I'm sure you're going to top the exam. Revision. Revision is the key. MCQs at least thrice. So the first time you solve MCQs, go through the explanations in detail. Second time, just skim through the explanation. Second time and third time. Third time, don't even need to read the explanations. You just need to have enough concept in your mind. Know if you're answering the question right. Videos, very, very important. And if you don't have time to see the videos, I would suggest that you see colorectal, esophagus, and breast and thyroid at least once. Dr. Vikas Singh has covered the concept in so much detail in breast and thyroid. Thyroid are huge challenges for everyone. We don't understand a lot of stuff at general surgery level when we're trying to solve questions in breast and thyroid because there's a lot of guidelines, a lot of variations in guidelines, a lot of regional variations in management, a lot of controversies. So, Dr. Vikas has covered the topics reasonably well and in with a reasonable amount of depth and I think that they are more than essential. So I would personally suggest that if you're not started your preparation, see the videos before you start your preparation because they give you an idea about what to prepare and how to prepare. MCQs, very, very important. I've already told you, thrice usually. And rapid reading. If you have to choose a book, rapid reading of Bailey and Love, you definitely have to read it twice, thrice, or even more. And MD Anderson, at least 2 times, I have read. The first time you can read in depth. MD Anderson is a very small handbook. Where is my MD Anderson? So I think very small handbook, and uh, I think it's very much doable. And I don't think it's going to be a challenge at all because you guys are used to reading huge textbooks, PG days. So I think that's where your focus should be. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So do we have any doubts?
Sir, will there be any another session for GI surgery also?
Will there be another session for
GI surgery preparation also?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. In next 4 to 5 days time, I'm planning. That's all this thing. So I'll start with the doubts. Should we leave job? I don't know whether you should leave job right now, but 20 days before exam, you should definitely be spending at least 8 to 10 hours a day in preparation. The last minute consolidation is very essential if you want to get a top rank. And even if people curse you at work, you can always put in a sick leave and do something. This MCH seat, if it is important to you, I think you should be giving enough importance to it. Because the last last minute consolidation, make sure that you assimilate a lot of points, because revising your oncosurgery textbook, your general surgery textbook, and perhaps ENT ortho OPG, it's going to be a huge challenge. So I think that's all you need to do. You just need to spend enough time in the last few days. Will we have mock tests? Yes, definitely we are going to have mock tests. In the next 1 week, we're going to release an entire portion of about 5 mock tests in oncosurgery and also general surgery in the examination pattern, where we are going to ask, where you'll have a leaderboard. So each time it will be a continuous leaderboard. So everybody, you will see the topper on board, and if someone else goes above, you will see this thing. It will be a huge, good way to predict your ranks. So you can plan to take those tests. It's going to be a really affordable cost. General surgery section, Bailey versus Sabiston, Bailey. Sabiston, you can solve the questions on the app and get done with it. Do not waste time reading Sabiston. If you start reading Sabiston general surgery, there is no end to it, and it's not something which you can revise easily. To refer for ENT ortho OBG, personally, I would suggest that you solve MCQs on Telegram. There are a lot of PDFs for ENT ortho OBG. I would you can text me personally if you want information on that. I don't want to talk about that in a public forum. Those PDFs, about those PDFs, and MCQs on the Surgtest app, they're available. They are very comprehensive. Have very good, simple, short explanations, not going beyond a paragraph. So solving the MCQs itself is more than enough to understand ENT, ortho, and OBG. For people who are subscribed for the video lectures, there are explanatory videos and slides. So more than enough, especially for ortho and ENT slides are very good. Second time MCQ explanation reading is required. First time you read the explanation in detail. On the second time, you will need to skim through the explanation. Third time, just see the answer and move on. In case there's a difference from Bailey and Sabiston, go for Bailey for your general surgery part. GI aspirants, it's a different thing. For GI aspirants, for the GI paper, Sabiston is your Bible. But for oncosurgery aspirants, it's going to be Bailey. For ENT ortho OBG is reading from Bailey enough, or you should go for NEET PG notes. NEET PG note is ideal. Question bank, the questions quality is slightly higher than what you would expect even in NEET PG. So that is what that's what we are expecting. And I think the question bank is more than enough, along with NEET PG notes.
Sir, will you make any one mock test for only image-based test, because last year we have got lots of images.
Yes,
that would be a better idea.
Definitely, it's being planned. Give us around 15 days time. Almost by August end, we'll be ready with a whole lot of tests for you to practice. Okay. What are the important topics to be done from Sabiston 21st edition? So Sabiston 21st edition, there are a couple of updates in esophagus. You should be reading esophagus from Sabiston 21st edition. Other than that, the chapter on shock and fluid management, Sabiston 21st edition is very good. And other than that, there is not much difference between Sabiston 21st edition and 20th edition. I see a lot of people marketing classes for Sabiston 21st edition and this thing. I personally feel there's not too much of a shift from 20th edition or 21st edition. It's not like Bailey 26 and Bailey 27. Bailey 26 and 27 was a completely different generation. That's not the case with Sabiston 20th and 21st. So personally, I feel that spending time on an updates class is a little bit of an overkill. This is my personal opinion, having gone through the latest edition of Sabiston. The questions have been updated on the app, and I think that is more than enough. This is my personal opinion, personally. But I think if I will go through Sabiston in detail, I'll talk to a few more people, and I'll get back to you on that. In case of not including feeders, will Bailey alone be enough for general surgery? Yes, Bailey, along with the questions from the app. Questions from the app cover topics from Sabiston 21st edition. Schwartz contain specific topics. That's more than enough. So I would personally say revision is a key. And you guys have gone through NEET PG, or you're already a PG. When I was writing, it was not NEET PG, I guess. But the funda here is that if you want to read a big textbook, it's going to be practically a waste of time, because you are not going to be in a position to revise the topics again and again. If you're going to be reading daily, you definitely do have a lot of time to revise and go through it. for the updates, you can refer to the questions on the app. When will the mock test start? In a week, hopefully. We're almost done. Can onco-surgery questions come outside of MD Anderson and NCC in this DeVita necessary? See, DeVita, if you have to read DeVita, it's going to be the first 4 chapters, basics of oncology. That is one thing which is not available or not given in MD Anderson. For other topics, reading DeVita is going to be a huge task. It's not going to be something which you can revise again and again. For DeVita, the video lectures are more than enough. The video lectures are pretty comprehensive and cover all points from DeVita. See, DeVita is going to be mainly of use in your core oncology topics of breast and thyroid. And that is something which Dr. Vikas has covered in the videos. So I would personally suggest you see the videos rather than reading the entire textbook, because it will give you time to revise. Slides also have references from DeVita. So that's more than enough. What are the percentage of image-based questions in the paper? A rough estimate, and where should we focus in image-based questions?
Is that mandatory to read elective orthopedics and vascular from Bailey, or to just go through the app?
See, we have not included questions from Bailey in orthopedics and gynecology on the app. So that is something which I'm going to be focusing over the next 15-20 days. Okay, so that is something which I'll include in the general surgery question bank. But other than that, that is not enough for your onco preparation at all, because they might ask 1 or 2 questions from Bailey orthopedics or Bailey gynecology. From the last time we saw that there were questions in obstetrics, questions in core orthopedics, fractures and stuff. So it is very essential to prepare in detail for ortho, ENT and OBG if you're aiming for a good rank. Unfortunately, that is what you have to cross that mental barrier and read those topics in detail. It's not going to be an easy task, but that is something which you'll have to do if you're focusing on all. And where to focus on image-based questions? See, image-based questions in onco are not as common as they are in GI surgery. If my personal advice would be, if you're reading a specific topic, if you're reading about breast, make sure you spend some time reading about mammograms. I have planned a class on imaging in oncosurgery. It will be a part of the oncosurgery video lectures. This is something which I planned in August mid. So that is something where I'm going to be focusing on. So let's see if everything turns out well. That class will be more than enough to cover your imaging needs. Any specific topics to focus on in general surgery, or will they give more weightage for the initial chapters in Bailey? See, last year, if you'd asked me that question, I would have said yes. The initial chapters are more important. But last year, there were so many questions in pediatric surgery, neurosurgery, plastic surgery. I was practically regretting giving people advice. So I'm not going to be dogmatic and say that no, you have to consider an initial part of Bailey. Bailey overall is very important. You really cannot say which part is very important. So Girish has said, read Bailey and plus Surgtest, trust me. And you can take Girish words, because Girish topped JIPMER. He was rank 1 in pediatric surgery, and he read Bailey in detail and did all questions on Surgtest. And trust me, he got rank 1. So I think you can take his advice. Is the 50% state quota happening detrimental to aspirants? Personally, I'm not a lawyer or I'm not a politician. Even though I enjoy politics, but I really don't know. So it's personal opinion. Considering that states have taken a huge hit in the COVID, I would assume that governments would, central government would be eager to placate state governments, and I really don't know. I mean, it's going to be detrimental to a lot of aspirants, but it's also going to be advantageous to a certain set of aspirants. So we really cannot predict how things are going to be. But one thing I'm very sure of is that I'm a first-year MCH resident, so I know the pain of not having residents under me. So I really hope that you guys finish your exam soon and join me, because I'm pretty sure you guys are not going to join before February. So let's see how things go. How many chapters?
NBE kept on confusion going on. They have given 2 dates for NEET SS. I don't know what they are planning to do.
No, nobody knows. That's the thing now. So it's pretty much the same with this thing. Nobody knows what they are planning, what they're going to do. It's pretty confusing, to be honest. And
because only for NEET SS they have given 2 dates. Nowhere they have mentioned 2 dates actually.
So what I assume is that if they want to reduce, the other exams are all single exams. What I assume is that one date might be for DM and the other date might be for MCH.
Or
So,
it could be like this: 2 specialties we are writing. No, 1 day for one specialty, the second day for the other specialty.
possible,
It could be like
very much possible, very much possible. But we really don't know how things are going to be.
because sitting for 6 hours there also it is like stupidity. NEET SS.
It is stupidity. It is stupidity. It is stupidity. It definitely. I mean, it doesn't make any sort of sense.
If you
How
want
many
to
chapters
write
from?
GI
Yeah.
surgery and oncosurgery, first GI surgery paper comes and later oncosurgery paper comes.
And if you're writing oncosurgery, you have to write a completely different set of general basic science paper, and so you do not have any sort of rest between. So you're basically writing 4 exams. Too much stress. How many chapters from Devita? If you have to read Devita, it's going to be personally the first 4 chapters of Devita. And the next question: is there any continuation of basics in oncology? Yes, Dr. Vineet is going to be taking this class. He has got held up in some personal work. He was unable to take the class due to certain health reasons. So he will be taking the class maybe in the next 4 to 5 days. And a few people have thanked me for the motivation. It's the least I can do for you guys. You guys have supported a Surgtest. We are a very small surgeon-run app, and we try to give the best for you. And I'm so glad that you guys have helped us grow. And I know I have no words. Thank you guys. What is the percentage of statistics questions in oncosurgery? See, statistics is very important. At least 2 to 3 questions do come. So you cannot ignore statistics. And I would suggest that you go through the statistics video lectures. Statistics video lectures, if you're subscribed to general surgery video lectures or oncosurgery, it's there in that. So it's pretty important. Any probability of preponement of exams, since they've given 2 days, I don't think they're going to advance the exam. They might postpone it, but they will never go to advance it. And trust me, I would be the happiest person if they try to advance the exams.
They won't prepone, sir, because the JR3s are not coming. JR3s won't go out unless JR1 comes in. So NEET PG is not happening. So that is unlikely.
Yes, and but you know what? They have relieved JR3. They have relieved final year MCH residents in most places, and these people are not going to come back. And first year
that is a different
MCH
story, sir. That is super specialty is a different story. Very less number of.
In the place where I am, even JR3s have been relieved. Totally
relieved, but they have to work. They have to come back, and they have to.
In some places, they are asking them to come. Some places they have been relieved completely.
That is to escape a stipend, all those.
Yeah. So keeping in mind state reservation, can we prepare for 2 branches together? One light branch. It is good to focus on one this thing, but yes, you can prepare for one light branch if you're inclined to take it. Branches such as pediatric surgery, cardiothoracic surgery, plastic are relatively easier to get into. I think that is something which you can prepare. And if you guys are interested in
plastic, only Sebastian is enough to prepare and go and crack?
No, sir. No, not at all. You will have to read plastic surgery in detail. See, a competition for plastic surgery has increased tremendously. 2-3 years ago, you could say that basic general surgery, you could have read plastic and come. Right now, it's not possible. See, plastic surgery, there are a lot of seats. You might get a very average seat in some part of the country, but if you're looking to get into some decent place, you should have read plastic surgery in detail. And looking at the response, we conducted a plastic surgery video lecture course recently, and looking at the response and demand, I realized that so many people are preparing for plastic surgery in earnest. We have a plastic surgery group with around more than 120 people, and all these people are preparing in seriously. Many of these people are preparing seriously.
All cities are full of with cosmetic surgeons.
Yes,
plastic.
Possible. Cosmetic, aesthetic, whatever be the thing. If feeder branches are added, do we focus on GI and Euro part of Bailey or the general part, vascular, breast, thyroid for part A? See, with regards to Bailey, you cannot trust the examiners at all. Last year, after what happened last year, I'm not in a position, or I don't have the guts to say something dogmatically that yes, just read this from Bailey. You don't need to read that from Bailey. Last year paper was a hodgepodge. There was every questions from every single part of Bailey and now, and I think you need to read Bailey in detail. And reading Bailey is not going to be difficult. You guys have just finished general surgery. Many of you have just finished general surgery. Many of you have finished general surgery in the past few years. So Bailey and Love is not going to take you much time. And Search's MCQs is something which you can solve in wards between two cases. See, I have interacted with a lot of toppers, and all these people have made sure that they solve MCQs whenever they have free times. The moment you wake up, solve 5, 6 MCQs before leaving to work. In the middle of work, make sure that you solve at least 20 to 30 MCQs. On the way back home, if you're coming in a bus, solve more MCQs. Coming in a train, personally, I would advise you to start using public transport. It saves you money with the cost of petrol. And whenever you're using public transport, all you want to do is use your mobile. And I found that a lot of aspirants who use public transport during their preparation time, avoiding driving, they tend to have time to solve MCQs, because once you get home, it's very difficult to focus on MCQs exclusively. You're more inclined to read books because you feel that books are going to be high yield. Am I wasting time solving MCQs? But you will have to solve MCQs because they give you a perspective of what you have missed. I mean, I'm echoing a lot of sentiment of what many of you guys have told me. People who have especially topped the exams. Once you read a chapter in Bailey, you might feel that you know everything, understand everything, but then you go and solve MCQs on the app, and then you realize, hey, why did I not read this? Why did I not understand this? Tell me if this is true, because a lot of you have told me that this happens.
Yes, sir. True.
So for this reason alone, you will have to solve it. And in the MCQs, I have covered topics which are likely to come, which I expect. For example, the baseball diamond concept in laparoscopy. It is something which is not there in Bailey. I don't think it's there. Is it there in Bailey? I don't think so. But it is something which was asked. So so these are questions which you can expect again and again and again. So I have tried to be as intuitive as possible, gone through books, gone through papers, trying to figure out what goes on in the minds of the people setting up the examinations. And I have personally found that a lot of me and Dr. Gopi, the other person, my friend who's doing GI surgery, who created the question bank general surgery especially, we have found that most of the questions are going to, we feel that most of the questions are going to be from the app. I would advise you to go through the app at least 3 times. GIT I've read from Sarastan in detail. Then again, reading GIT from Bailey needed. It's a very tough question. A lot of toppers read GIT from both Bailey and Sarastan. I personally did not have the time to read when I was preparing. So it's a very tough question. But personally, if you have time, read GIT from Bailey, or else skip GIT from Bailey and read only Sarastan. Both Dr. Gopi and I use this strategy. There are certain topics you will need to read from Bailey. Anal canal, hemorrhoids, this thing are covered better in Bailey than in Sarastan. So there are a few topics, and also the liver chapter. Liver is something which you should read from Bailey now, because I found that questions are directly lifted from Bailey line by line while setting up the question. And can we skip Schwartz? Yes, you can skip Schwartz. Whatever you need from Schwartz have been added in the question bank, or will be added in the question bank. NCCN, is it enough to read study treatment flowcharts? More than enough. Don't try to read the theory part too much. Reading theory versus solving MCQs, which one should be given weightage for NEET SS? See, reading theory is your base. If I would see, if your ideal state of affairs should be, you should have read theory at least once and then solve MCQs to clarify your concepts. See, how much ever comprehensive we try to be, there are going to be certain concepts that are going to be left out in the MCQ. You're obviously not gods to achieve that level of perfection. So reading text is very important. At the same time, if you do not have time to read a particular topic, or if you feel that you want to understand the topic through MCQs a little early, solve the MCQs and then go back to theory. So last NEET SS, I did not have time to read plastic surgery all from the entire thing. I just went and simply solved the question, and then I realized that most of the questions came from the app itself. So that is something which you can do if you do not have time. But reading a text is very important. And this is despite the fact that I run an app that sells MCQs. I would advise you to concentrate more on theory than it. Sir, how to understand which trials are to be remembered for examination? See, this was something which we had covered in the last MCQ discussion with Dr. Vineet. And the funda here is that look at what forms the basis of your guidelines. So there's going to be a hell lot of trials. You go through Schwartz, they would have given you entire 2 pages on trials in breast surgery. But look at the trials which are latest, which have had the impact in your line of management. Look at what trial is being referenced in NCCN guidelines. Or look at, or when you're reading through Sabatson or Schwartz. I mean, Schwartz, someone had earlier asked me to skip Schwartz completely. You cannot skip Schwartz for breast and thyroid breast and thyroid especially. You will have to read Schwartz for breast and thyroid in detail. Other topics, you don't need to. So if you look at read breast and thyroid, it would give you a certain set of guidelines. So look at the reference, go back, turn your pages, and see what trial has been referenced. So that is the trial which you should be reading. With the cooperation of our faculty who have helped us quite a bit. We have been able to subsidize our video lectures at a very affordable cost. We have made it at almost 50% cost for the past few weeks. We are going to be running the promotion for a few more days at least. So I would suggest that you utilize this if you want to subscribe video lectures and MCQ ranks. And I would say this has been possible only because we have because of the help of our faculty who have decided to shun a significant percentage of their income and allow us to subsidize the products. And we did this just for you guys. And I hope you guys are able to utilize it. So how to plan the next 100 days for revision? Number of days for oncosurgery and the feeders. See, right now we should be concentrating on general surgery and the feeders because onco will require you to focus on, you will have to, onco is going to be obviously more volatile because you would have read it less times and this is not something which you would have read before during your NEET PG times or during your MS days. Over the next 1 month, I would suggest that you finish general surgery, the app, and Bailey and Love. And by August end, you should have a decent idea of ENT, ortho, and OBC as well. Because by August end or September first week, we are going to have relatively good clarity on whether ENT, ortho, and OBC are going to be there. If they are not there, you are lucky. But I don't think you guys are in a position to gamble and ignore those feeders. There are certain posts by a lot of people which say that it's a cause for celebration. It's not going to be there. But I personally am a guarded surgeon. I would reserve my comments for the last. So it is a risk which you'll have to take. So I would personally suggest that you start reading, solving questions at least. Even if you don't want to read it in detail, get on the app, solve at least a few topics every day. Like decide today I'm going to do fractures of the upper lip. It's not going to be too difficult. This is something which you have read in your undergraduate days, in your NEET PG preparation. You will find that it comes very easily. Definitely, knowledge is going to be knowledge. So try to remove the mental block and try to finish ENT, ortho, OBG, and general surgery at least once by August. Don't spend too much time revising ENT, ortho, and OBG because you do not have the time and you do not have clarity on whether it's going to be there. And after August, you should be spending at least 70% of your time on. And so September till October first week, you should concentrate on oncosurgery in detail. You should have read once in detail and gone skimmed through the oncosurgery MD Anderson at least once. You should have read MD Anderson at least twice by October 10th. After October 10th, the last 1 month, you will know whether ENT or OB is there, general surgery is there. If only general surgery is there, well and good. Spend 30 or 40% of your time reading general surgery, and the other time reading oncosurgery. Uh, it also depends on the level of your preparation. You are the best judge of yourself, and you will be able to understand whether you are weak in basics or the onco papers. Once we release the test, I would suggest that you attempt these tests by at least by August end. So you will have a clarity and you can see the leaderboard and see where you stand. If you're doing well in general surgery, concentrate more on onco. If you're doing well in onco, concentrate more on general surgery. Uh, Personally, my experience tells me that onco paper is going to be easy. General surgery paper, that's my personal opinion. But NB is pretty unpredictable. You really can't say. Yes.
Our request is to put more general surgery mock tests than. Anyways, you are telling 5 mock tests for like a 100 marks paper.
No, it's going to be a 40 questions, five these things. We'll be adding more tests. Definitely, we're going to release it with 5, but definitely over the course of time, I think we'll push it around 7 or 8.
You are not giving grand test 40 plus 60 marks mock test.
No, it's not going to be a combined test as of now. We might announce a grand test close to the exam with ranking.
Only single grand test.
A single grand test, but these are going to be continuous. This is going to be similar to a grand test, but you'll have separate leaderboards for general surgery and oncosurgery. The reason is that, see, you might feel that okay, overall you want to see the rank, but the fact is that more than overall your rank, I personally feel that these tests should help you gauge your level of preparation. It will tell you whether you are going to weak in onco or you're weak in general surgery. Imagine you do extremely well in onco and you do extremely do average in general surgery and you still get a good rank and you feel okay, my preparation is going the right way. That's not the way to proceed. This is my personal opinion. That's the reason we have split it into 2 and made it 2 separate tests. Because again, with oncosurgery, there's no clarity whether ENT or OB are also going to be. Should we revise Surgtest MCQs for general surgery also? 100%. That is what I've been talking. That's what even Greece said. For general surgery, Surgtest MCQs is a must. On this matter, I'm going to be dogmatic and say if you have revised Surgtest general surgery MCQs at least thrice, you're going to be able to score more than 35 out of 40. And I think that's a great number. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My personal request to you guys, many of you guys have been using the Surgtest app for some time, and we're a very small team. We are having a very young tech team who are in their early 20s. These guys are coming from very disadvantaged backgrounds, and people have helped me create a very wonderful product. So if you feel that this app is helpful to you, you can just leave your feedback on Google Play Store and App Store, where you can discuss how you feel about the user interface, the apps, questions, and all. My team will feel very motivated if they see your positive comment. Thank you so much, guys.